Good evening, everybody. Hi, it's me. I have a confession to make. I am really, really sorry, and I'm going to repeat this later because I know more people will join. I have walked in the door. I haven't had time to brush my hair from work. I got held up at work. It's just one of those things. And so the afternoon I was going to spend preparing and uploading all the information that I had found and the amazing program we were going to have is not ready. So I will run that in a couple of weeks. But what I wanted to do is not let you down completely, because I literally didn't know until today that this was going to happen. So yeah, tonight's show is ad lib. It's just me saying hi. So I will say, oh goodness me. Dun dun dun. I will say, thank you for joining us today. Our community is really important, and let's grow together. I will start the show with that. So hello and welcome to everybody. It's grand if anyone wants to chime in or ask any questions or shout anything out, please do. I have all the time in the world this evening because my show's not going according to plan. But if you want a particular thing answered or ask a question, either put your questions in all capital letters or start your comment with a capital QQQ. It makes it easy to pull out. And also, if anyone is watching on the replay, thank you very much, first of all. Secondly, please enjoy the show. And it's really important that you have your say. So leave us a comment and I will reply to you. And the other thing that you can do once the show is uploaded to YouTube, after about 24 hours when the program has caught up, you can watch back the live chat. So if you swipe left, the option to rewatch the live play comes up as well. Now I'm going to pop into the comments and say who is there and say hi to the people that are in. I know some people are sitting quietly, but we have Rob saying good evening to everybody. I hope you are well. And bless, Rob was an hour early, so he was really keen. Thank you, Rob. Nice to see you here. And I've been looking out for Rob's videos because he's been home for a week or so. So hopefully he'll be putting out a video soon and we can see how his garden looks after his few weeks away. We have, again, as always, now I usually start by saying hi to Jay, who is Ecology Today, or the J Bot. And we thank Jay because every single week she shows up for us. Every single week she does such a brilliant job in the chat and promoting people's channels and live links. So we thank Jay very much for everything she does for our community, not just for this show. She does it for several other shows. She's a very busy lady. Her time is really important and we really appreciate her. Thank you, Jay, for being here tonight. And also want to say hi to Heartsample Homestead. Hi, Kirsty. Nice to see you in as well. And for anybody who isn't aware, Kirsty and her husband, Dean, on the 24th, which is next Friday, are having their live stream. I believe it's at 6 p.m. But Kirsty can pop that in the chats for everyone to know. And it's going to be a special live stream because it's Dean's birthday. So that will be nice. Let's see if I can see anybody else in. There we go. We also have Down Home Backyard Gardening. Hello, everyone. I'm glad I'm able to jump in here and support her for a while before going back to work. Oh, thank you. That's really, really kind. I don't know how long you've been here. It's a bit of a different show. I'll explain again in a minute. But that's really kind of you. And everybody's saying hi. Yes, and Kirsty has confirmed. Yes, thank you, Joe. Yes, it is Friday the 24th at 6 p.m. So if you have a chance, please go over and support Kirsty and Dean. They are a fabulous channel and they're working really hard on making their pennies go further, becoming self-sufficient, preserving the harvest, working really hard and using some really amazing strategies to preserve their food and design their gardens. It's very interesting. I won't say too much, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm enjoying the series they're doing on their victory garden. And Jay has in the live chat put in a link for Kirsty's channel there. So as I was explaining to everybody right at the start, so some people have joined since then, I got held up at work. I can't really explain what happened, but it was a bit of an emergency. And so I was held up. I literally walked in the door with not even enough time to find my headphones and brush my hair. And I was running around fetching things as I was getting ready. And I think I was a few seconds late, but I made it in the end. So I apologize. All of my research. So what I usually do is I do all of my research. I prepare my program. I get my clips and I get them all ready. And then I spend an hour or two before the show loading everything up and making sure it runs and works on the show. I haven't been able to do that. And so rather than just talk through and give you a really shoddy show, I decided that I'm going to postpone it. So this show will be in a fortnight's time instead. Have I managed to get a drink? I was brought one. I have a very loving, amazing family, Kirsty. I was brought a drink. And I must have looked fairly haggard at work because I was out and somebody, one of the other staff at a place I was out at my work, came over with some water and went, "This is free of charge. You need to drink this." So I must have looked quite peaky at one point. But there we go. We made it through and I'm here now. So I'm glad you're all in the chat. And I found out something really interesting. So I'm going to say hi in case, Barney. One of my friends watched in and didn't say anything in the chat, just watched. And then he went, "Oh, I watched the other day. It was really interesting." But I didn't like to say hello in the chat just in case. So just in case, hi, Barney. Perfect. Okay, so I guess I can give you a little update on the farm. I do this. I've been along on the small holding, and then I have a few epiphanies. And the last vlog I did. Oh, hello. We've got Rutilation along. Hi, nice to see you there. Thank you for joining us. There we go. Oh, I can get rid of that too. So the last video I did was Across the Holdings collaboration. And the question I asked was about managing money on small holding and cost savings and things. And some of the other small holders came up with ideas that I had thought of, but not in the same way. And so I've decided, have a cup of a Joe's Live, yeah. I've decided to change things around on the farm, and it's quite dramatic because, as everybody knows, I'm a pig person. Pigs are one of the things I enjoy the most on the farm. And I'm actually going to take a break from the pigs. So when these pigs go eventually, I know Kevin's being a bit tricky at the moment with that, I'm going to take the winter off pigs and I'm going to rethink completely the breeder pig I have, because the breed I have at the moment are very hungry. They grow very quickly and they give you a lot of meat, but they are exceptionally hungry. They eat a lot and they cost a lot. And the cost of feed has gone up 3 times this year. And I sat down and calculated it, and it's about it's £50 a week I'm spending just on pig feed. Nothing else, just pig feed, £50 a week. So that is too much. So I'm going to look for a breeder pig, something maybe like a kuni, where they are able to forage more. So that's one of the bits of news from the small holding. The other one is the harvest is rolling in. It's amazing. And I would show you lovely pictures had I had time to load them up. And the harvest I'm really enjoying at the moment. I'm going to say hi. It didn't pop up. There we go. Hi, Eddie. Oh, no, it's changed. There we go. Oh, it keeps moving. There we go. Hi, Eddie. How are you? So the thing that I'm really enjoying at the moment is some of the things are coming to seed. So last year I left in parsnip and I also left in beetroot, and I've got seed heads coming on those and leeks. And then I've got some things from this year that are also going to seed, things like lettuce, whatever. So the seeds, and that kind of ties in what the theme of tonight was going to be. I'm not going to make this such a long live stream because obviously what I've prepared hasn't worked, but I have had the offer that making a very special one-time appearance, or maybe to appear again, but for the first time ever, that Jay would be able to come on live and have a chat about what is going on in her garden. So this is, for anybody who hasn't met her before, the amazing J-Bot, the amazing facilitator on multiple programs, and amazing keen gardener who's managing multiple gardens this year. Hi Jay, how are you?
Hey everybody.
So how is it going with you at the moment on your gardens?
Well, I'm going to talk about the garden situation briefly. We had quite a heat wave here that was unusually warm for our area. We're fairly much in the north, so we're somewhat temperate, but it was very hot for about 10 days. And now we have smoke alerts for the northern wildfires, bringing in basically smog for us. So many events are being shut down because it's too uncomfortable to be out. So as a gardener, the heat was an issue to deal with, and that's calmed down a little bit now. But now we have smoke, so we have to go out in masks to be reasonably safe for the particulate matter.
Oh goodness me! Did you get wildfire smoke a lot last year? Because I know
a little bit. Normally in Canada, traditionally, unless you were in British Columbia, which is quite some distance from where we are, we're a very, very big country. We are very big. And
I know, much bigger than us.
Oh, yes, we are huge. In fact, I would have to statistically double check this, but before the USSR broke apart into disparate different other countries, we were the second biggest country in the world by geography, like in terms of just bigness. Yeah. So we got a lot of land. We're really all over the place. And we're fairly far north. And so winter is a big issue for us. And this is our growing season now. And wildfires are becoming more and more of a thing. There's different theories and explanations about why, but the thing is, it's an actual fact that it is happening, and it's affecting our region, which is normally not very affected. And the main way we're being affected is the particulate matter coming on the dominant winds, prevailing winds from the other places. But it also, that's kind of like the breathing part for us and the plants. But also, to me, I have some political thoughts about some of those kinds of things, some climate change kinds of thoughts about that. But the fact is, acres and acres of woodland is getting decimated.
And I think
we don't normally deal with.
Whether you believe it's just a cycle we're going through, or whether you believe it's climate change, or for whatever reason, we are having hotter and hotter summers, it seems, and more strange, erratic weather. Yes. And I don't think it really matters whether it's climate change or whether it's a cycle.
It's happening.
It's all happening, and it's still affecting our growing in a big way. We've had some wildfires in the UK, mainly in Wales. It hasn't affected this area, but it has been so dry and droughty in some areas. The farmers are not collecting in the wheat crop because the rotary blades that cut the harvest, if they strike a stone as they're going through those fields, the spark will set their crop on fire and they will lose it, definitely. And also everything that goes with a wildfire that can get completely out of control. So there are many farmers in warning areas who are just not, they haven't been told to, but they've kind of went, hey, we're not doing this. Please, public, you be sensible. Don't have a barbecue on the edge of the farm.
And we're just on the edge of that kind of stuff about
Yeah.
different people having different beliefs. But the thing is, it is actually happening. And so now we've got issues about air quality. So some places are having outside fire bans of different types for different types of fire purposes. Other ones are just saying, can you be cautious? Can you be sensible? The air quality is super bad. It's drying up here and we can't have the manageable resources to deal with more fires, more air quality. Think about what else you're doing to affect the air quality. So it's a real thing and it's happening now, and it's dominant to us when we go in the garden. So for example, when I went into the garden to do, I did a couple of different things today. I also do landscaping to kind of help some people in my little village. And I garden in a community garden plot, which has 44 spots. And I currently have one main garden plot, and I do a fair bit of the work towards my partner's garden spot as well. The people in the UK will laugh about how tiny our gardens are here, but it's what is happening where I live in a tiny home village.
I've had smaller gardens. I've had smaller. Because if you're restricted to pots on a very small area, then what you have would be a luxury garden. But yes. You carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
So no, but that is reflecting some of the reality that I've seen in parts of the UK about people have been for generations living in their own tiny way, tiny space, tiny that. But the allotments that we get, which are community garden space, is 10 foot by 20 foot. So I try to do things that are very space effective, very efficient. I do a sloppy version of successive sowing and intercropping and planting. The key thing is that I am plant greedy, and my garden, through decades of effort, has never looked better, has never been so healthy. In fact, I live in a funny little village here where half of the traffic through the pathways into the gardens is not gardeners. It's just random people out for a dog walk, out for a thing with their grandkids, and just going, we live in a little village. There's not a lot to amuse you here. So if you're out for a walk, let's look at the prettiness of the gardens. And for good and for bad, when people pass my garden now, for the first time ever, so I'm going to brag now, even though I'm telling you 20 years of not looking like this, it's almost like a magazine right now. It is.
Your garden is looking good now. I know. I saw some pictures the other day on the Urban Gardener.
Yes. So when I go by, when people go by, they go by, da 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 da. We're talking about life, and then they pass and they're going, oh, this garden, that garden, who's got cucumbers, who's got recognizable plants. And then they stop and look at mine and go, oh. And then they stop there. So, hey, my ego, yay. But the reality is that the cost of vegetables is extraordinarily high here right now, higher than any time in our history. So we've had a little bit of theft and vandalism in the garden in the past and already. And so my garden, I'm going, being the showgirl doesn't necessarily mean all the good things, right?
No. Well, I've had theft on my garden plot, but only from pheasants. And they steal more than their fair share. They've had every single strawberry this year. My flower patch. But that thing you were saying about being plant greedy, I've been the same. I've been sowing really closely together because I'm like I put in row and I'm like, well, those are radishes. They're going to be gone in a couple of weeks. So I can put the carrots really close by. And I cleared out a row of beetroot because I'm trying to get ahead with harvesting and preserving my beetroot, because I know come August I'm going to be so overwhelmed with other things that maybe I want to have all my beetroot pickled and chutneyed and done before I get to August. And I pulled it out and I found a row of kohlrabi. And I'm like, I forgot I planted those, but they're doing all right. And now they've got space to carry on. So it works really well. But I know what you mean. I've got so much land, but I don't want to convert massive gardens, because then I have to weed massive gardens and I have to mulch massive gardens. So although I've got a lot of land, my vegetable plot is not, I don't think it's even the size of a full allotment, UK allotment. Rob could wade in on that because he came to visit a few weeks ago. But the actual vegetable plot size is actually surprisingly small. But yeah, I pack everything in and I'm sowing in small rows. And when I pull something out, I'm like, oh, that's underneath. That's going to grow now. So it's quite nice.
So I've got a few thoughts I've seen here from the comments on things people say. First of all, yay on Eddie. Hi, Eddie. Glad to see you're here. Glad to see everybody who is here. I've greeted you in the text. I'm saying hi to you as a person now. And I love that Eddie
and Big Will's in.
Big Will here, but he called him Bug Will.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
I know. And I also saw it started with Humble Hearts Homestead and then another spelling of it, and it's it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I do that all the time. I put a message in to say hi everybody at the beginning and I spelled that wrong because I was rushing.
Well, I might be misquoting this, but I believe that's a Spoonerism. You know, the idea that you say something slightly incorrectly wrong, but it's got a certain truism in it. So anyway, you don't bug us, but since we're talking about gardens, why not Bug Will? Yeah. It could be your second channel. So, and then also Big Will is saying that some of the smoke has gone down to Indiana. And in some of the other channels that actually help support, they were talking about it. I was supporting on 2 channels last night. And people were sort of teasing about the fact that so much of the smoke is coming from Canada. And I tease people a little bit with that because I'm a little bit silly about how I'm putting Canadian wood fire smoke in envelopes and mailing it down to you guys.
Yeah,
kind of like a seed.
It'll go nicely with the snow you already sent previously.
I just like being a little bit goofy at times. It's innate to my character. So yeah, and Big Will's going, come on, J-Bot. Yeah, so I've ceased sending the envelopes of Canadian wood fire smoke. So any further stuff that comes your way to people in America, it's not me sending it anymore. So just letting you know, I was corrected that it was not wanted. So I'm doing that. And Eddie saying on a bona fide.
Yeah. So he's saying there's been a conversation. He's using his phone rather than a computer, so that's where the typing errors are coming in. You can't get to the buttons. I think it's an age thing. I can't do it either. But I'm just hasn't ever owned a computer of any kind. Didn't have a smartphone until it was all I could get. I didn't have one until work told me I had to be contactable and had to have a phone. But I didn't have a phone till very late as well. I'm exactly the same. But I quite often, like, people try and email me or call me. You emailed me earlier. Didn't have my phone.
Yeah, that's okay. And I see Crop Gardener came in, and he's just saying a quick hi to us. But glad that you popped in.
Yeah, nice to see you here. And he's probably, why are they not talking about seeds? I'm sure they said they're talking about seeds. It's in a fortnight. There's a reason for it, but I'm not going to keep repeating myself.
Yeah, for those of you that came in late, busyness at work, no ability to set up for today's show. We're just having a hangout and a chat today. So on to actual gardening, if you don't mind. I'm kind of like, I'm
go for
greedy, and I love my garden and love my stuff. So I go to my gardens about twice a day now, but I am so plant greedy that in our 44 garden plots of our community garden here, in the village. Occasionally, for one reason or another in life, people have difficulty taking care of their gardens. Ill health, age, surgery, busyness at work, necessity to have to work kind of like double shifts and things like that. There's different reasons why people have trouble establishing their gardens, maintaining their gardens, gardening at all, because life just got chaotic in too many categories and stuff. So I've been in that garden, and one of the jokes lately has been people saying I live there. I don't technically live in the garden, but it is most of my life in that garden. Is that I spend the most time there of almost anyone, and I've been there for 22 years. So I am nobody official. I am not one of the garden coordinators. It's other people, but I spend so much time there that people interact with me a lot. And part of the interaction is, oh, I really want to garden this year, but it's too hard for me to get my garden cleaned up and established. So I do that for some seniors and disabled people, because I want everybody gardening where possible. And if temporarily, through various circumstances, it's a little too difficult for you to fully manage your garden, if I can, I try to step in and help. So I'm kind of known for that. And one of the things that happened besides a bunch of that through the last weeks is also some people can't garden at all, but they don't want to give up their garden. They've invested in, really nice fencing, establishing and improving the soil. Life's just gotten too chaotic for like 6 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever's going on. And so what they often do is they lend me their garden space, which I am thrilled with, because what that means is I have temporarily more garden space, and I am plant greedy, vegetable greedy, and I want lots of it, but I'm not greedy for myself. What I'm trying to do is have usable garden space go to produce for other people. So I have this knowledge and skill. It's a necessity for people. Life is getting hard. Life is getting expensive. Here's a little thing that I can do to temporarily make nutritious food in terms of that. And so I have a few other garden plots now, only for a few weeks. And so
how many have you got at the moment?
I have my own, I have my partner's, and I believe 5 others right now.
So you might be the size of a UK allotment with all of those.
Yes. The thing is,
you've got a lot of space.
Only temporary use. So the things that I might have done, for example, trellises or raised beds or vastly improving the soil, I don't have the time or energy or resources. I'm just kind of like rent a land for a few weeks. Plus, it's late in the season. So I now have a limited list of what can grow up to a Canadian frost without me, again, using things like low tunnels or covering or all that kind of stuff. But you know what? A limited repertoire of what can grow is still something. So it's a short list, but I'm kind of rushing the stuff because we are late in the season for seeds and seedlings for our Canadian.
Because you've got the short window.
Yes, frost is, depending on which dates you believe here, October 10th to October 20th. So it's still quite possible, but we're now looking at the 30-day and the 60-day crop, stretching it into the 90-day, but risky, all that effort and space, and then maybe not,
Yeah, and you're talking about fast growing brassica and thing, aren't you? Because you're talking about something that if there's a surprise frost, it's not going to go straight away.
Fast growing crops, however, we're in Canadian summer. So now we're getting 30, 35 degree temperatures. So brassicas, which would be lovely, do not like being seedlings and growing in that climate. So now it's even shorter list. Brassicas later, if I want to baby them in the fall, but for right now, an even limited list. So it's things like bush beans, potatoes, but potatoes won't be full sized because they didn't get the cool of the spring. They will be new potatoes, but they're still a delicacy and it's still food.
And you can grow a lot. I know, because my first earlies, I got a lot of potatoes for the size I was growing. I was really surprised. Although apparently I have more. I'm growing on more than I think I am, because Rob says he thinks I've got about two plots there.
Oh, okay, good.
But yeah, so new potatoes were good.
So here's the thing: is many of these plots, the people haven't been improving their soil, so it's extremely sandy soil that's been unimproved for decades, and it's also, the fencing tends to be a bit podgy. It's a sieve for what's going to come in. So now my list of what I can grow is limited by how hot our temperatures is, how much time I've got before frost, but what the rabbits aren't going to come in and go, ooh, thank you for this.
And what will grow in poorer soil.
Correct.
You can't, you're not going to get big pumpkins there, are you?
So my list is getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's not nothing, because I have some connections to the local food bank. And also there's a seniors dinner that's run on a nonprofit basis, and that meets twice a month. And also, when I have a ton of produce, I do what I call curb mart, which people let me know, people in the community who could use some fresh fruits and vegetables. And I basically load up my excess, go around on my very funny weirdo bike, which is a recumbent trike, for those of you in the know, and a garden cart, and I just ride throughout the village with some bags, saved up bags, bread bags and things like that, and just go, hey, how are you fixed for tomatoes? Could you use some? And just go around and help. But I also help about 10 people in the community. People deliberately tell me, kind of whisper in my ear, going, oh, and I'm making up a name now, but Sandy Lou could really use some help. And it pretends to be people having a bit of a tough time economically, but I don't get precious about it. It's like maybe it's even someone just having a tough time in life, and they need a friendly visitor who's showing up,
or somebody who's physically unwell. There is such a healing properties in fresh, good produce. I firmly believe that a lot of people who are constantly overtired and stressed, a lot of it could be remedied with good, healthy, clean eating and good night's sleep. All the things that,
yes,
you kind of regulate how much caffeine you have your fruit and your veg, and you make sure you've got a good sleep cycle. Those things, are really helpful.
It's a component in healthy living, whether it's mental health, emotional health, physical health, whatever. So my thing is, I have this knowledge, I have this experience, we have empty land, I want to see it in use. And the thing is, I don't think the food bank would get too mad at me if, let's say, the only thing that turned up well in these crops that I'm trying to grow is a whole bunch of squash and a whole bunch of new potatoes, and I showed up and went, hi, I have a whole bunch of vegetables for you. They'd go, they currently have the highest numbers they've ever had for the demand for the food bank. The food bank cannot afford fresh fruit and veg anymore.
No. It's strange, because a lot of the food banks where we used to live, because I used to try and take the fruit and veg along, would be like, no, we don't take fresh produce, because if people don't collect it, then what do we do with it? We've then got a waste product. They did, just as I was leaving, they started doing it wasn't a food bank, and it wasn't for people in need. It was rescuing food waste. So things that are about to go out of date, rather than them getting disposed of at supermarkets, and people that had excess on allotments would take it down in the morning and they'd lay it all out. And they were really good, because what they would do is they would pair things from the supermarket with what the allotmenteers were bringing in, and they would make a vegetable soup bag that had the stock in and the vegetables, and like a mix of vegetables. So instead of like just giving somebody a massive bag of carrots, they'd give them 2 carrots and an onion and a this and a that, and then a recipe card. So they were really making the most of it was really good.
That's
a question
lovely.
there for you.
And occasionally that kind of thing happens, but mostly the resources are run thin and the demand is so high that that interesting projects are not that possible because literally they just have to get food to people. Fresh fruit and vegetables do go here. There's no fuss, no problem about it. It goes, you know, and it can be unprocessed, so it's acceptable to the food bank. And like I say, the seniors dinners, I also help. I give them between, I'm not entirely sure because I don't weigh it, but
force your rhubarb on them. You're like, have my rhubarb.
And they let me know that they're just a couple of cups from having enough frozen and ready from the stuff I've delivered to have a dessert shortly that's like my stuff. And it supplies a lot of seniors. And by supplying them with some of the fruit and veg and stuff like that for them, they don't have to raise the prices for the seniors. Like they charge them a nominal amount just to cover costs, but they don't have to raise the prices if I keep supplying them with free produce. Some I'm only giving them a little bit of their need, but it's the difference, so they don't have to raise the prices while the prices are going up. And Big Will's got a question for you. Do you have a golf cart for traveling to the gardens and delivering to the neighbors? Many people in our village do utilize those, but me, because I'm not of the correct weight and condition of what I should be for my health, I walk and I use a funny bicycle. And for those of you who want to look it up, I may be able to provide a link later in the comments, but I am using a recumbent trike as my main transportation. I've been doing that for more than 20 years. It's a laid down bicycle that is a trike with 2 wheels in front and 1 behind. Looks a little bit like a circus bike. That's how I move myself around.
I think recumbent bikes are an excellent, and not so far to fall off.
And that is a factor. And then attached to the back of it, I use a yard cart, which is basically an extremely sturdy wagon that's utilized by people who have small allotments or small farms and things like that. And it's all metal except for the wheels, the actual tire part. And very sturdy built that can handle very rough treatment and neglect. How do I know? Don't know.
Oh, I wonder, Jay. I can't think now.
And they build them to different capacities, and mine is able to take 500 pounds. Not that much produce, but that's how things get moved around. So, Eddie, do you want to?
Yeah, I can say it's not really off topic because close to every gardener's heart is what they're going to do with their produce. A lot of conversations I'm having at the moment is, have you got a recipe for using courgettes? Because that's the one that always comes up. What are you doing with your onions? I'm going to make a lovely onion marmalade. So that would be interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Those are the conversations we're having. And then into that feeds the, what do you use equipment wise? And the cast iron cookware is, I grew up with like the, and I really want to get back to having one, but it's quite an expense. Like the wood burning oven cooker with the. So we have Rayburns, Nagas, and other varieties over here, and you have your own brands and things, but mainly here we have Rayburns. And then at that point, cast iron becomes absolutely crucial to be able to cook.
Yes.
And Rob was saying that his excess gets swapped at the pub for Stella, and they make it into soup, which is also a good use.
Now, I do see some other comments with different people, like Ruth Election and somebody else there was talking about recumbents being expensive. Okay. This is a whole nother off-topic thing, but hey, we're having an unusual fill-in day, so this is how it goes. Okay, I've had different lives of different things that I've done that I've been quite involved in. And I started gardening at about 15, working for essentially a market gardener. He hired me as a townie who literally knew nothing and kind of worked my way through. And mostly off and on, I've been involved in gardening, either amateur or semi-professionally in one way or another. In the middle of that, of my life, I spent around 15 years being extremely involved with recumbent bikes and trikes. I was quite the thing in that world of recumbent bikes. Not top of the line, but I knew
we've had conversations privately about your traveling. And
I traveled around the world. I helped designers and developers, promotions and stuff about them. I used to have a whole herd of recumbent bikes and stuff like that. And essentially what I did was I traded some of my skills and knowledge with recumbent bikes and trikes with manufacturers and designers to get them. So before I went to tiny home living, I actually had a whole herd of different recumbent bikes and trikes. I am now down to, I think, 3, which for a tiny home is an awful lot. And I use them basically as cargo carriers, tractor type things here within the village. I don't do anything fancy, but if any of you want to do internet sleuthing, you'll actually see that I raced in the world championships and of recumbent bikes and actually got in the medal rounds many years ago. So I had a whole vivid and detailed life with all that stuff, but mostly I don't buy my stuff. In that time when I was quite involved, people would basically hear of my expertise, and basically manufacturers and designers would barter and trade my knowledge, experience, and skills for designing stuff for me. So that was part of my life, and it's now part of my gardening life.
Yeah, I just want to talk about what Big Will Dog is talking about. So the food waste is just a shame, and I think it's changing in England because it's being publicized and supermarkets being shamed into donating that food. But if we're talking for composting uses, for things like that, a lot of people have more luck going to coffee shops for coffee grounds and tea bags, because it's a waste product. There is no more money to be made out of it. I think that's where the big businesses come from. They don't want to give something away that they can sell. So that works. And the other one, and I've just been given the tip by my friend, is to check out breweries, particularly the smaller, unique ones, because you can use those, the hops and all the waste materials, to feed pigs, which is really good for them. With all the malt and the brannin, but also it will equally add to compost, and that's got yeast and things growing in it, and that's going to add to the diversity of your microorganisms in your compost as well. So shout out, say hi to Storms Radio. So there are a couple of other ways to go. Coffee grounds get all day every day here. But the brewery, I think, is another good place to look to.
So, and then another thing that can happen, and it's been a bit of an issue through various different gardens I've been involved with, about having some form of composting at the gardens, and it's been discussed here because there's fees now for processing your garbage and moving it along. And approximately 30% of most people's garbage is usable compostable material. But the thing is, composting effectively and well, I've been involved in trying to do different garden projects as well as composting projects. And the main issues is that people aren't careful enough about making sure that it doesn't cause insect smell and predation. And it's all possible, but not everybody is as conscientious or willing to do the work to make it effective as there is with gardening. Is, different people who don't deal with disease, don't deal with the insects in our community garden, or even attract them using different things. It becomes a problem for 40 other places around them. And that's the case with compost. What I choose to do for now is I have multiple composters. I don't let anybody else use my composters, but I occasionally let the word out for people that I'm willing to collect their compost for them. They have to know I'm not necessarily going to accept everything, because people put different things that are incorrect in there, like eggs and meat. And my type of composting can't deal with that kind of stuff. Trying to not attract. I live in an
So for those things, for meat and eggs and dairy and things that would attract rats, I dig a really big hole. I don't do it very often. I do it if there's a lot, and I feel I can't waste it. Dig a really deep hole. I put it in the bottom, so this hole can be 2 feet deep.
Yep.
So that goes in the bottom of the hole. Other compost goes on top of that, and I will either plant a tree on top of that, which will be quite happy, feeding on it over a decade or two, or my rhubarb goes on it.
Yes.
And it's so far down, that's not a problem for the rats. That's one way I use those uncompostable things. Because otherwise you're just going to get overrun with rats. Even if you've got a really good cage and they can't get through that, the smell will attract them and then they'll look for other things.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And in fact, one of the things that started happening here is different people that weren't involved in the gardens started getting interested in them recently. And I live in an HOA type community, which has a certain type of mindset about how things could be, should be, etc. And people started deciding, who were not involved in this stuff, we should not allow composting. We should have very strict ideas about what is acceptable in the garden, etc. And they were trying to move forward towards actually making unbelievably difficult rules about that. And how do I put this? Many of the rules are being established because of the types of things that I'm doing in the garden, but also influencing other people. So amongst the things that were being discussed at a public meeting is doing things like no composting under any circumstances at all, no mulch allowed in gardens whatsoever, no raised beds of any kind. Gardening has to be a space of land with rows of plants in it and space in between, like conventional 1970s style gardening, and nothing else. Okay.
The trouble with that is it doesn't work.
I know. That's what I'm saying. They're ignoring 50 years worth of soil science and improvement in how plants and soil actually stay healthy and produce well and stuff. So what I've been doing is hand-holding and easing people when they're ready for them. Bye, Ed. Is that I'm trying to ease people into things that make good sense and actually work in the garden. And most of them are low cost, no cost things that people can do to improve things. But so every so often when you live in a small village and you get people who...
Even in the middle of nowhere, I regularly have the council write to me or phone me and say, somebody said you're doing so-so, and my closest house is about a quarter mile away. It's a good 5-10 minute walk down the lane to my neighbours. They're the closest house. They're not the people making the complaint. The people making a complaint are over a mile away.
Yes.
And they're usually complaining, and it's funny because it's always the same complaint. It's like they're living on their land illegally, and the lady from the council now phones, and we have a giggle every time. She goes, "You phoned me because I wrote a letter to your house where you live, which is not in your field, but I'm going to ask you this question because I'm required to. Are you living in your field?" I'm like, "No, I'm living in the house where you sent the letter to." She went, "Fine. Write that." And it's the same thing over and over. It's like people just want to cause you a problem, and it's very frustrating.
Oh, yes. And the fact that you have to actually put any mental energy or physical energy to it. And in some cases, if you don't, there can be cascading problems where there actually could be in this place, like bylaws passed that are nonsensical and send us back 50 years in gardening that don't do anything. And the part of the issue is that when that came up at one of the most recent meetings is that none of the gardeners nor the garden coordinators were there. And even the garden coordinators don't know and understand any of the new types of gardening. So, I guess you could say, jealous people, uninformed people. It's like people who need a good hobby that sustains them and maybe does them good in the world, even if it's not gardening. Just like go find something that will make you a happier person, please.
Oh, I have just had a live bird flying. See if I get it on.
She has a live bird.
Sorry. No, it's flown out. Phew. I literally had a live bird fly in and land just here above my computer, and it sat on the picture frame looking at me. I was just looking at it, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? Because if you flap it and it flies in the wrong direction, I've never got it out again. It's gone. It's gone now. It went straight out where it came in.
Okay. Well, where I live in Canada, we don't have those problems because although we have all kinds of wild birds, everybody here uses screens on their windows, fairly strong screens, because the amount of insects we have make us bug buffet. We are literally feeding the animals, feeding the insects, just by being people. Well,
lucky you. But yes. You have different problems, because I know I watched your video where you were talking about where it's safe to use your lawn clippings in your compost, and you have like the 2 zones in your garden, and you've got like a warning zone. So if things go tragically wrong in that zone and things are getting affected by the weed killer or chemicals that your neighbors are spraying, you know that then the rest of the garden isn't safe. So you've got problems caused by neighbors, but different problems.
Yes, and same in my space. I guess the thing is, I'm going to get a little bit philosophical here, is with life, it offers all kinds of things. And sometimes the things that happen to you are things by your choice, sometimes things not by your choice. And you can choose as a person to interpret what it means to you when those things happen in your life. Does it mean that you're a tragic person and life never does right by you, and you've got a chip on your shoulder because, no matter what you try, people are unnecessarily mean to you and life's never fair, and you focus on all those things? It could be true, okay? But the thing is, what does it do for you in that moment, in that day, in your life? You
can't control other people's actions or words. You only can control your response and your feeling towards those things. That's very true.
And I'm not necessarily Susie Sunshine positivity every moment, but I view myself as a pragmatist or a realist. And I decide with what limited energy and resources I've got, what's going to give my time and attention. And I try to take care of the practical things that need doing, and then try to do good in the community individually and to the community every day that I can get up and be healthy and well enough to have spare energy before I go to sleep, before I tuck in for sleep at night. I say, was the world a slightly better place, just this little bit, for a person or my village because of something I deliberately did? Yeah. And some of it's small stuff, like being positive to someone who looks like they could do a boost, going in and doing landscaping for someone, going in and preparing a garden, sharing the vegetables, being silly about it sometimes. And I'll tell you, I'm getting more and more word back from people who are uncomfortable with, as a senior citizen, I'm willing to dress up in costumes and give out treats or vegetables and things like that to people. You know what?
They've got no life.
I'm focusing on the people who are neutral or positive about that stuff. And I try not to bother the people that are uncomfortable with a little bit of weirdness and generosity happening hand in hand. And I'm not,
as British, we would love it. I don't think there are very many people that would. I think we would love it here. I don't think anybody. We used to have a postman that used to sing this whole round really loudly, 5 a.m. Everybody loved it.
Great. So if anybody's got any questions about the things that I have or do or what's with my gardening, before we kind of go to any questions people might have, I spend a fair bit of energy on the Urban Gardener channel. And I'm not leading you there now, but after this show, you might choose to check that out. I put some energy there, and last week, both Enoch and I did garden tours. So you would see more detailed stuff of basically a photo essay, a slideshow type thing, talking about our gardens. And it went on for a little while because we love our gardens. We talked too long.
So that's on the Urban Gardener channel, isn't it?
Correct.
So
Yes.
if anybody, I think most people here are aware of that, but if anybody isn't or watching quietly, the Urban Gardener, another YouTube channel, and Jay and Enoch had a nice conversation. There's some really good photos in there, which is why everybody's going, "Oh, your garden's so lovely," because we've all seen it.
And also recently, and I'm not going to have the date right in front of me, Joe was a guest for me on that same
I
channel.
was. Oh, yeah, it was a fortnight
Yes.
ago, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah, I forgot
yes.
about that.
So you can also see a little bit more about Joe and her allotment and and her land and what she had there, and we discussed a lot of different things. So Bill Big Will Dog is saying those same neighbors I worry about their lawn treatments are nice folk and receive free produce in hopes that it copes them to stop from treating without asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
It's the way to go. If you're going to have this conversation with your neighbour, doing it in that way is far more likely to be well received, isn't it?
Yes. And I try to do different things to be my natural self, that trying to be giving and kind. I think she's got bird issues again, so I'm going to talk about that. Are you trying to eliminate the next bird?
No. What I had is somebody started playing music outside, and if it gets picked up, YouTube will not like it. So
Yes.
I closed the door quick. Sorry.
Yes.
But the bird won't get in now.
Okay, great. So I just try to be my natural self, and one of my passions and interests is gardening, which is what we're all here for. And I try to use what skills and energy I have to not just take care of myself, but if possible, to extend extra energy to try and have produce for everyone, because we all need, a place to lay our head. We all need food in our belly, hopefully nutritious stuff. So it's going to, heal us and make us feel better and be able to work our brains and have energy to do the things we want in life. And it disturbs me that how much the costs have risen and the quality gone down in produce. And so I have some energy and skills in that to potentially make a little ripple of difference in my community. And what I'm hoping is gradually it'll start happening more and more and have more effect out there.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, we are only 3 minutes away from the hour, and I said, I'm going to have a really short show today because I didn't get everything. I haven't at all. But so if there are any last minute things anybody wants to know, any last minute questions, now's the time to ask them. Otherwise, we're going to run out of time. It's thank you for coming on and having that conversation. It's been really informative. It always is. I learn something new every time I talk to you and lots of the other gardeners as well. There's always things to pick up from the chat. There was one thought I had when you were talking about the composting. She's not here tonight. Growing with Stella. Does her composting in bed. So she's got baskets that sit in the bed and she fills them and they have a lid on and the worms come in through the sides. And she did a video showing what the compost comes out like and that, she's constantly composting, but it keeps the rodents out because there's no way for them to get in. So that's worth looking at. And I've said, put some biochar in there. She goes, I'm gonna. Good idea, Joe. So.
I did look at that because one of the things, and if you go back on previous episodes of some of the Urban Gardener channel shows where I did show up, it's called Let's Get Growing is the live version. And I did look into those and considered it. But honestly, this spring, I have multiple disabilities, so life is a bit of a challenge for me every day, and some days more challenging than others. So this spring, establishing my gardens was a hard go because I was extremely sick this spring. So I was actually 10 weeks late. And you go, 10 weeks isn't so bad. 10 weeks is very bad in Canada because I was rebuilding and establishing new garden beds, raised beds. So I was building them, rebuilding them, creating hugelkultur, getting it all adapted hugelkultur, getting it in place. It was a bit of a go. So it took every bit of my knowledge and skill to get them kind of caught up. now, the thing that I bragged about at the beginning of this show, my gardens have never looked that good, but oh boy, things did not look so good this spring. It was torn apart construction zone and a weak person not sure if I could even build it, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the same. I'm kind of second year into this new plot, finding that now, because I did the cardboard and the mulch on top straight onto basically pasture land, cow pasture. I'm now finding that I've got a lot of weed pressure, and I'm just repeating the process again. And I think eventually that will give up. But it's just, it looks really bad at times, and you just have to kind of go, right, okay, I can do this. More cardboard, more compost, more mulch, more. Yeah, you just have to go for it. Right, I put some lovely compliments up there. So Kirsty from Heart Humble said it was lovely listening to you. And well, it says you do so much in spite of this disability. It's my kind of people. And he has a lot of content about how to garden safely with a disability. So that's another great thing. I think it's probably time to wrap up. So Rob's saying another great live. And Shawnee's saying sneaking in on the back. Hey, it's fine, Shawnee, you didn't miss the seed thing because it didn't work out. It's going to be in a fortnight. So I'm not live next week. I'm live in a fortnight. It seems to be that work is more and more calling on me when they said they wouldn't. And so it's just a bit, anyway, it is what it is. We all got to eat.
What we'll do is everybody watch. Generally, Joe would like to have this live every week at this time. However, work has got some demands right now. So watch for her listings about saying whether there's going to be a show or not.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we'll be here to support you when you can.
Oh, thank you. That's brilliant. But I think for the moment, I'm going to say thank you very much, everyone, for being here. And I know, Kirsty, you do always check. You're brilliant. And I am going to say goodbye and see you guys all next week. Take care. Bye.